You were saying that there, like you're saying you play so many. I was thinking, how did you get moved? Like?
Just a bit too early because it was like Vardy had only really just gone.
Yeah.
To Leicester.
From Fleetwood.
Not kicked on yet.
Yeah.
Probably like a couple years too early, and then everyone started getting moved.
Going there.
Intro's on you.
Intro's on me today.
Yeah. Started.
Right. Welcome back to the Cactus Podcast. Do you know what I'm saying? We've got another special guest on today. Do you know what I'm saying? You're here with the host today, Big Boy Swaby, throughout the show in the league. Across from me, we've got
Thierry, the one and only, here every single episode.
Do you know what I
it
mean?
goes.
Religiously.
Consistency is key.
Yeah, we're trying. Go on. I'm just putting ad-libs on it.
Nah, do your thing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we've got one guy that cooked me one time, I'm not going to lie. Top baller. Got Paddy Lane, the one and only Paddy Lane.
Big Paddy Lane.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Perhaps in the studio.
No, pleasure to be here. Obviously, I'm not up north often, and I've always said to you, whenever I'm back up, I'll get on because you've been smashing it. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's basically in France, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Quay.
Oh, what's it like down there? To be honest,
It's a lovely place to live.
Yeah,
absolutely lovely place to live. It was a big change from Halifax, when obviously, because I'd moved from Halifax to Fleetwood when I was there. So I've been up north from when I was 17 playing football to 21, and then I moved down there, and it was, I sort of took it my straight. It was a culture shock, really. It was more just the thing I had to get used to was being away from home and not having the option just to go back on the weekend. That was the biggest thing, but it's a lovely place to live, yeah.
Obviously, quickly, for those who don't know, over there is Portsmouth. For those who don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's France.
Yeah.
It's basically France.
Portsmouth,
do you know what I mean? His local shop is like a bigger house down there. Do you know what I mean? But here we go. Like, how did you get into football? Like, where does Paddy Lane start? See what I'm saying? Not serious, bro.
Sorry.
Go on.
Just when I was 3, 4, 5, living at obviously in the house with my brothers, sisters, mum and dad, and whatever I could kick around the living room and stuff, it was getting kicked around. I was actually into rugby first as a kid because my dad played it, and my mum came from like a rugby family, and I ended up playing rugby in the house with football, and obviously I really they realised early on I was left-footed, and then I remember going down to my first training session. They took me down to a place in Halifax called the Moor for a team called Halifax Irish, and we were there training. Dad took me and my brother down, and the first thing I did, because obviously I'd only watched rugby at this point, we were playing like a little game with. It was probably some sort of possession, but at the time you're just sort of chasing the ball as a kid. And some fella had the ball, don't know who it was, and I've just gone and rugby tackled him straight off the bat. And my dad said, no, that's a wrong sport. And then since that moment, really just went training ever since that.
Right. Do you know what? To add on to that, does your dad think you're a fanny now because you play football instead of rugby?
Nah, to be fair, no, he's never really told me. I hope he doesn't like it. But nah, he's never really told me. But I mean, I played rugby in school all the way until I sort of had to stop playing rugby.
Yeah.
And I enjoy rugby. I don't tend to watch it or play as much anymore. But a lot of my friends from back home, from where I'm from, it's a big place. It's a big rugby town. So everyone plays it.
Yeah. Like, I still play rugby on a football pitch. Do you know what I mean? Just trying to put people in stands at. But touching on that a little bit, like. With myself, my only rugby experience was playing rugby on the Astro, and we used to play like against the year above. I don't know if you was there, but Festus ran into me with the ball and just kneed me in my eye, and I thought, yeah, not for me, not for me at all.
Football's for me.
Football's for me. Yeah. No more rugby, especially against my man. But yeah, like, where did you go after? So after you played football at that age, where did you go?
Yeah, I was at Halifax Irish from when I was a kid, from 6 maybe to the age of 9, and then around 8 and 9ish I started getting asked to go for trials and stuff after tournaments on the Saturdays and stuff, and I sort of I didn't even think about it at the time. I was just a kid enjoying football, and that's the way it should be. And then I went on trial to Blackburn and a few other places, but Blackburn was a place where I felt more comfortable and with the lads that were there. But then I had a coach there called Rick Bell, who run a Sunday team in Manchester called Vipers, so I actually played Sunday football in Manchester as well for they were called Heaton Mersey Vipers, I think. So I used to play on a Saturday for Blackburn in the morning, and then I used to play Sunday morning for Irish, then I'd go over to Manchester and play for Vipers in the afternoon. As a kid, sort of, you can do that now. If someone asked me to play 2 games, I'd just laugh at them. But went there, and then from the age of 9, and I was sort of taken away with Blackburn. Like, I was so comfortable there, and my friends were there at the time. So I ended up signing for Blackburn when I was about 9 years old.
9 years old, you know.
How long were you there for?
So I was 15, I think. 15 going 16. But yeah, it was 6, well, from 8 would have been 7 years, like, but signed officially 6 years.
This is what I mean. If I knew him earlier, he would have got me in. I had trials for Blackburn and they didn't necessarily go to.
What age did you have trials for Blackburn?
We used to go together.
Yeah, remember? Do you know when Pascal? What's his name?
Paz.
Yeah, some big black guy who I thought was fake age or something.
Yeah.
Yo, joke. He was nasty on trial.
And we used to go together in the car, to Blackburn, after school. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know what? When you're a kid, like, obviously you'll know from being in academies yourself and Jord, like, you come across so many players, and you'll come across each other along the line. Yeah, it's just
crazy.
Crazy, you know.
Like, I probably was there when you were there, and I just completely can't even recall it.
That was the first time I played on a 4G pitch.
That was the first time I played on, like, carpet. I'd rather have that in my gaff than actual carpet. Like, it was nuts. Mate.
Yeah, the facilities there are top draw.
Notch,
To be fair, top draw.
So obviously, I'm guessing Blackburn didn't work out for whatever reason. Was it the scholar year or? No,
it was a year before the scholar year, I think. So, it didn't work. Like, I enjoyed it probably until the age of 13, 14. I used to love going there. And it wasn't an easy drive. My dad used to have to come home on a Monday and Wednesday night early doors from work, take me there hour and a half back, and then I'd be in school the next morning. And when I was enjoying it, I didn't even think about the drive. I just used to think, I'm going to play footy. This is class.
Yeah, 100%.
And then when I got to like 13, 14, obviously more decisions are being made, and a lot more comes into it with tactics and stuff, and that's the way it's gone now. But when I was that age, all I wanted to do was just enjoy it with my mates. I was in school, and you know me, like, how much I love being around my mates and stuff. And all I wanted to do was enjoy it. And then got to like 15, and I said to my dad, look, I'm not enjoying it anymore. So he sort of said, right, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to enjoy football. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, we came to the mutual agreement. Agreement, I say agreement, it wasn't like a paid contract or anything like that. So they just said, look, we think you're a bit too small anyway. And we said, yeah, that's fine, as long as you can, because at the time you weren't allowed to play Sunday League, were you, if you're playing in academy and something. So I just wanted to be able to go and play with my mates. I remember the day that I'd been told that it wasn't happening. It wasn't like a sit down, right, you're being released. It was sort of just gradual. And I remember playing 5-a-side at the local courts in Halifax, just buzzing. And that's a mad thing to say, that I was buzzing to be out of the situation. Obviously, it knocked me for 6 not being in the academy, but at the time I was just happy that I could enjoy football again.
How old were you then?
I was 15 then, so I'd have been, year 9, year 10 in school.
It's mad. I remember when I got knocked out of City Shadows, I had the City kit on with the little eagle, feeling top shit. And then they said, nah, we don't even fancy that. Yo, man was in pieces. My mum was like eating wings and that. Talking to the other mum, she was having a little vibe. But obviously at that time, I was just around some man them that weren't even serious about ball. But I felt like it hurt me because I knew the club were doing something. So for you to say you were buzzing and that's
to be
crazy.
fair, I say buzzing. I was gutted. Like, my confidence was gone.
Yeah.
I was shot, and it was more of a gradual thing. Like, it wasn't. I like hearing the stories before. I knew it was coming, so I'd sort of I knew it was going to be like, right, you're probably not going to be there forever, and then. I didn't even think what I was going to do after. All I wanted to do was enjoy school, and I was, like I said, buzzing is maybe the wrong word. I was gutted. My confidence was gone, But then the day I actually remember being told, yeah, it's like everything's been sorted, you're free to sign for whoever. I just remember being buzzing with my mates saying, I could play with you this weekend. It was more that than anything.
yeah.
Mine was a completely different situation when I got dropped. Mine was crazy. Remember, we used to train together with Oldham at the time.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it in another episode. Training is normally at, I think it was 7:30. I got told to come in at 6 o'clock.
What age was this?
16, year 11.
Was it a scholar year?
Yeah. We played a game on a Sunday, and the youth team manager came to watch the game, and he was saying he wanted to play different to how the under 16s were playing at the time, the age I was in. He wanted to pass it about and all that stuff, but my gaffer's saying go long every time. So I'm going long every single time. And the youth team manager shouts at me saying, stop fucking kicking it long. I'm confused. I'm like, I'm getting told by my gaffer, like, go long, but you're telling me to pop it out from the back. So at half time I've said, he wants me to go long though. Like, you know, you're telling me two different things here. He went, all right, cool. So I didn't give me an answer. That's all he said. Second half, I'm doing the same thing, going long. He's shouting at me, pop it out from the back. I can't. If my centre back's up the pitch for a long kick, who am I going to pass it to?
Yeah.
So that was on a Sunday now. Come the Tuesday training, he wanted me in at 6 and said I'm being dropped because I couldn't.
You're not adaptable, mate.
Yeah, I couldn't adapt to the situation.
Yeah,
I
because
was like,
guys telling you one thing, and you're
so
just stuck in your ways, and
I'm sat there and I'm thinking, how though?
Surely in academy it should be like a philosophy throughout.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
start
yeah,
from
yeah.
the top. Try it on, like Man City. I'm guessing all of them plays pop it
Yeah.
out from under 6s and that.
Yeah.
Whereas Oldham at the time, they were in a mess. They were in a mess. I remember 2 years before that we played Man United and we got smacked like 9-1. But
He always used to get battered by United.
yeah,
You doesn't get battered by like
bro,
Cat 1 clubs.
I think Greenwood played that game and he must have scored about 5 goals against me or something crazy. But I saved about 50 shots out of the entire game. So my game was quite good, but I conceded 9 goals. Man United wanted to sign me after that game, and Oldham were going into, I think, administration. I think
Mad.
they were in a mad financial situation.
Yeah, they were.
And they wanted 200k for a 14-year-old.
Keeper. Yeah, you're taking the piss.
Man
I'm
United
not saying
laughed.
you're not worth 200 pounds. To me, you're worth whatever. But like, yeah, that's
But Man United laughed it off and
Yeah.
said, yeah, keep him. It's
No
cool.
way.
Keep him.
That's mental.
And then, back to when I got dropped, they brought me in on the Tuesday, said, you're not adaptable, you didn't listen to the youth team manager, blah, blah, blah. But the coach who was saying it, I knew he didn't like me anyway. There was another coach called Anthony. He's now Man United's England goalkeeper coach. He didn't say that I want you to go. He said they want you to go. So that the difference now he said it to me was massive because he always had a good bond with me. He always thought he sees something in me. And the fact he said they wanted you to go made it seem me like you don't want me to go, but they do. So you rate me clearly, they don't, and that was massive for me.
Going on to say, it happens a lot though, like especially now being around professional at the minute, with like the retained list and everything going out. But in the seasons I've been playing professional, the amount of things that happen like that, it's football.
Yeah.
You know, everyone ends up going through. Everyone's got their own certain story, and like mine's very much different because I listened to yours, and I never had to sit down. Right, we're releasing you. I never had that being said, so my heart never like dropped.
Yeah.
It was very gradual. Like I said, buzzing, probably the wrong word. I just remember being excited to play with my schoolmates because I'm so close to them.
So how did you get from playing with Blackburn to playing with your friends again to how I eventually met you playing with Rochdale Elite Development Squad?
The EDS. So I got released at 15. I remember played for my mate's team in school, just a local Sunday league team, and I just remember falling back in love with football again. I mean, I've always loved playing it. I never so much watched it as much, but I've always loved playing it. And then used to love going to school, and it gave me a chance when I was in school to be able to actually, like, it sounds a bit deep, but like find who I was a bit instead of being that person that plays football, because you know, like I say, a lot of the lads played rugby and stuff, so it gave me a chance to be like, oh, this is who I am and what sort of person I want to be, and finding my sort of personality away from it. And then went into did my GCSEs in school. We had the year where you do GCSEs. It's unreal because you get however long off early doors, and then had the summer still playing Sunday League. And I remember I came away from a game on a Sunday with the Sunday League team. I said to my dad, I was like, "Do you think I'm making a mistake? Do you think I should maybe give it one more try, go and trial somewhere?" And like, don't get me wrong, when I'd left Blackburn, I went on a few trials. Like, it wasn't just straight away out of the academy. I'd gone on trial to Huddersfield, I'd gone on trial to Rochdale, and they both said the same thing: too small. We're not going to offer you a scholarship. So,
what even is that? Like too small?
Yeah.
Because knowing the mates that we know now and the people that have got themselves midgets, man, doing Mazzolinis now. So it's not even like if you're technically good and you can play, you can work around that because physicality at the end of the day ain't everything. Because if you're playing the 10. You're not going to really get dashed. You're just trying to find half spaces and get on the half turn and play people.
I think it used to be bigger than it is now.
I think the adaptation of the game has helped. Like the less, I'd say,
physical.
Yeah, the less developed players physically in the game. The way obviously Pep transitioned English football. Now it's more, can you pass it? Can you hold it? 1-2s and all that stuff. Whereas back then it was more, can you hold up a ball up front and can you get to the byline and cross it?
Yeah. Definitely, like I say, when they sort of said no, maybe them ones are the ones where I'd sat down and they'd be like, "No, we're not going to take it." But I just remember when I used to go on trial, because I've been on so many trials now. Like I used to go in, and I used to be shitting myself. Like I used to be in the car thinking, "Right, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go in 2 minutes." Then 2 minutes would go by, I'd be like, "Right, I'll go in another 2 minutes." I wouldn't want to get out of the car. I'd be sat in the car with my dad in a comfortable environment. And I just used to hate being the new kid on the block and stuff like that. And obviously did them trials, didn't work out, and then it was Sunday League again until I applied for sixth form. Literally I was going to do PE in sixth form and just play Sunday League and see where it took me. And then I'd gone a trial to Chester City, and I remember they had like a scholarship scheme because Mikey coaches on it now, doesn't he? So they do a scholarship scheme, but I remember I went on trial there 2 or 3 times. I'd gone on holiday, and Cal Mack, the now manager of Chester, he said like he likes me. He thought, you're decent and whatever. But I turned around to Dad and said, I don't know if I can do that drive every day because it's like an hour 45 every day from mine. And obviously Mum and Dad wouldn't be able to take me because they were working. And the train had just like, I don't know if it'd be worth it because it'd be a lot of money to get the train to Chester. And I went on holiday and I thought, right, I'm going to sixth form. And then the day before I was meant to go to sixth form, Brett at the EDS called me up because Carl Mack had said, look, we were probably going to take him, but you're probably better off taking him because it's close to your house. It was a full-time football scholarship scheme, not paid or anything. It was, and my dad got this call when I came back from holiday, and it was a snap decision. I was just like, yeah, all right, then whatever, we'll go do that, because I didn't know what I wanted to do in sixth form. I was just going because a couple of my mates were going. So, and then I remember the first day I was meant to go into sixth form, I told the head of sixth form that I was ill, just to go over to sign the forms to do the thing with the EDS, and then went there and literally never looked back since that day. It was
mental,
I just fell into it because of so many things that happened, and like hearing George speak before. You've got to be in the right place at the right times, and luckily enough for me, Carl Mack decided that he liked me enough to be able to ring someone to tell me about me. And
that's crazy, you know. He could have been a PE teacher in Trinity, bro. Do you know what I mean? Look at him now, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? That's mad.
Honestly, it's crazy, but
our football
works, innit? Yeah.
That's what I mean. I'll never take anything for granted in that sense.
No, that's mad. Mad.
And the EDS was just...
those were good days. Obviously, you've got I don't think it would have been as good without obviously Mike. The way he's changed my game, and obviously he changed your game to get you to the level that you're at now, is insane. So I'd also want to give him a big shout out.
And I still speak to Mike every day now. He's on holiday in Thailand. He was messaging me yesterday, but he was the one that gave me the confidence back. Like, when I said I lost it after Blackburn, it was never fully back. And then I remember going in there, and he was just him, Brett, even Pritch. Yeah, they were just all so so positive around the place. And for me, the work, like the what was it we did?
The assignments.
The assignments. Yeah, what was it?
It was a
BTEC,
BTEC sport science, I think.
The BTEC for me wasn't even I would never even thought about it. I did that, and then I just wanted to train every day, and the training was just enjoyable, wasn't it? But it was enjoyable to a point where I remember they made it was the be all and end all. We wanted to win every league because we knew we could.
Literally.
But like they fulfilled that sort of belief in us, and that's where I think I got my competitive edge back. I think a little bit.
Definitely. It makes sense. But I remember during the EDS there was a time where we did there was an All-Stars. And that was like all the best players in the Northwest counties, I think, under 17, 18s, I think. They all got put into an All-Stars group. I'm going to go around playing academies. So that's where players like Kwame Poku plays for Peterborough.
Was he there?
Yeah.
That's carnage, you know.
I think carnage, you know. Yeah. I remember he wasn't my roommate, but his room was across from mine when we stayed away.
Mad, like.
We played Exeter, the All-Stars, and he was obviously on the All-Stars team.
Yeah.
And then from that game, he got scouted and, done what he's doing with Peterborough now. But I remember the trial period. It was me, Alex, Dapo, and Paddy got put forward for it. Yeah. And only me and Alex made it through. And I think from the round 2, they didn't take you on.
It was first round.
First round.
I remember it, yeah.
So first round, they didn't take you on. Did that knock your confidence in any way?
Probably subconsciously, maybe, but I just remember, I remember the day of it, I didn't really know what it was. It was sort of, if I get in, I get in. It didn't seem like a trial, because as I said before, the trials seem, when I've been on trials before, I was so nervous, I ended up going and played in the game, and then I'd been told that they didn't take me, so I was sort of just like, it's not great, but it wasn't meant to be, sort of thing. But I wouldn't say it knocked my confidence. No, the only thing now is when they try and post stuff from their thing, and I don't want to come across as salty here, because this could come across as really salty, but if they try and post stuff saying that I was involved within the All-Stars and stuff, I'd never, if I was, I'd repost it, but they helped me along the way, but it was nothing to do with that. And obviously Mikey's done a tweet before about it and got a little bit told off for it, but
no way.
It's the truth, though.
That's it, and
that's what people do.
And I understand why they want to say, he came from our system, but it was more Hyde and the EDS not their doing. But as I said, I don't want to come across salty or anything, but I wouldn't say it knocked my confidence. I'd just say it was another reason to sort of be like, all right, fuck it, then I'll try.
Yeah, push
on even more.
Yeah, so that obviously helped you get into Hyde United's first team. We were 17, I think, our second season, our last season with Rochdale Development Squad, and you were gone for about half the season because you were with Hyde's first team.
Yeah.
What was that like, playing with us against people our age, to then being pretty much thrown into the first team, starting every week? Was that?
It all stemmed from that Salford FA Youth Cup game.
Yeah.
The chill stemmed from there, and we'd played in, we were playing every week, Wednesday, Sundays, wasn't it? And we were enjoying it. We were playing well in the team and stuff, and it was more enjoyment of it. You couldn't wait to play on especially the Wednesday games. It was so fun, because we knew we were better than most of the teams in that league, apart from maybe Carlisle and Sunderland. They were good. But then the FA Youth Cup was a big one for us, and we played in our first year. We got knocked out. Was it first round? That was a good thing with the EDS. They put you in the Youth Cup, and that was
second round. I think it was
the second round first
Halifax.
year. Yeah, it was second round first year. I was injured.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember being gutted as well because I support Halifax. So I was gutted. And second year we played Salford in the FA Youth Cup, and all week, because I remember Curzon before during the Pens, and then played against Salford, and literally day after, the Darren Kelly and TY came up to us four. Well, you three were already in it, weren't you? Yeah. You were sort of already around training. They came up to me and said, we want you to come and train with us on Thursday. And I remember sort of my heart being like that must be decent. Thought nothing of it. Never thought, this is it. This is the start of my journey and whatnot. And I went in on the Thursday. I remember being in Morrison's before, absolutely khaki in my pants. Like, you were taking the piss out of me. I literally couldn't eat my food. I thought, I'll go get a jacket potato, good carbs, and I was shitting myself. And I just remember going in nervous as anything. I spoke to Jord, spoke to a few of them, and Dale's was just so loud, and I was like how can you be so loud? And I was loud in and around us because I was so comfortable with the lads in the EDS, but I was thinking, I'm 17, how am I going to be able to get people to sort of take to me and stuff like that? And that was my first taste of men's training session. But again, after the Youth Cup and that session, thrown into North Ferriby on Saturday straight away, I was like, it took me back a bit.
That's mad,
Yeah.
But the environment in the change room is always a good, isn't it? Even if you're new, because obviously Jordan would always take you on.
But as a kid, it's pretty daunting, though. Now, if you get put in a new change room, you're like, I'm a man now. Talk to whoever I want. But as a child,
well, I don't know. At this age, still, obviously, when I moved last year, it took me a while to come out of my shell properly again.
Yeah.
But coming out of my shell at Hyde, it was very much. Yeah, I thought, for me anyway, I don't know how it feels to other lads, but every team I've gone into, and Hyde was the main one, I felt like I had to prove my worth there for them to sort of earn my respect a little bit. And I think I think you probably get that in most places, because I'm guilty for it now. If someone comes on trial, I never hold off them. I'd always speak to them and be friendly with them, but you really judge a person after they've had the session. You think, what's he like?
Yeah.
And if you've done well, they always take to you. I think they take to you better. That's in my situations. That's what it's always been. If I've done well, they'll take to you a bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be fair.
For me, I just got to barge one guy over and just everyone just loves me, bro.
I remember when you first came into Hyde, I was so scared. It was that pre-season, you came in, I was like, oh no, this is the guy T's been telling me about from Radcliffe last year. I was like, oh shit. And I remember sort of trying to come towards you and speak to you. You give me a bit back, I think, right, okay. And then we were in the rondo and you give me more back. I thought, yeah, you might not barge into me yet. And then every time you're on my side, obviously big lad, biggest shots non-league. I'd always go to the other side in training. So we were talking about Illy before off camera. If Illy was one side, I'd be like, oh Illy, have a switch. If Javid was on my side, I'd be like, yeah, come on Illy, go send him that way.
No.
But with you, obviously your presence was there straight away. Because you're so loud and stuff. And when I was 17, that age, I wasn't like that. I remember the first session I came in with you, I didn't speak. Didn't speak the whole first. I spoke to Dan because I knew Dan, but that's literally.
Paddy's a silent assassin, man. He works in silence.
Very quiet.
Not so much anymore.
I can tell.
I've got to say.
I've seen the videos.
Not so much anymore. More, like I say, when I was younger. But as I say, because I've been around men's dressing room for what now? 9 years, 17. 8 years, 7 or 8 years. I think the experience comes along with it, and you'll know yourself, playing non-league and you. So the experience you get in changing rooms, it's sometimes better than the experience you actually get playing in them dressing rooms. And I'm glad that's the way I'd done it, because I wouldn't have the personality I'd do.
Everything you've done's built to who you are right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember your last season with Hyde. Or my last season with Hyde. I don't know if it was your last season with Hyde. I was 19 before I moved over to Germany. Every car journey I'd go on with George, we'd always be like, pads, wow. What can't the kid do? Because you play. Back then, you played every car. I'm telling you, and Joel would always be like, this kid is something else.
Oh, mental.
It's
mad to hear that.
I swear.
Because I'd be going home eating Doritos in the car. John's
because you'd play on the right of let's say a 4, so the striker 10, and on the other side. But we'd always be like, he's better in the 10, play him on the 10. Then you'd prove why you can play on the right. You just go and whip one in the top bins, or something mad would happen, and then you'd go on the left, and they think, why on the left? Because he can't cut in. You'd go whip a ball in, get a cross in, goal, and it's like every single position you seem to play in at Hyde was just, you just adapted to it so quick and so well. And then I'm guessing that transitioned into the move to Farsley.
Yeah, COVID probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Obviously, yeah. So like, in terms of, obviously I know the situation away from football was dire and it was awful. But in terms of my career and stuff, it helped me out so much. I ended up getting the fittest I've probably ever been, as a lot of people will have done, because they had to get out of the house somehow, and you could do exercise. So it was the fittest I've ever been, and I just remember TY ringing me 3 days after our season had been curtailed, and he rang me and he was like, "Oh, Farsley want to take you on loan." And I was like, "Farsley, they're in the league above," and obviously I'm not used to getting calls saying the league above want to take you on loan. And he was like, "Oh, it's because our season's been done. They want to sort of use the transfer market to their value." And at first it was only meant to be a month, but it was one of my old coaches at Blackburn, Adam Lakeland, that sort of, he must have been following me when I'd gone into non-league. And I remember I was in a restaurant. Do you remember the help out to eat out thing? I was rinsing that. So I was in a restaurant, and he rang me and he was like, "Oh, you know, like, how are you?" Sort of catch up first, because I'd not spoken to him in years. And then I didn't even have a training session. I went straight into a game against Gateshead on the Saturday, and it's the first time I'd gone into a changing room, and I was like, I thought, right, there could be players better than me here, so I need to sort of make sure I'm on it. I didn't come on in that game, and I remember thinking, oh, maybe this loan's just going to be a bit of a token one, see what happens with it. And then the next game, Alfreton away, I came on. I'd done really well, to be fair. I was really happy, and then after that I just played every game, and then they took me back on another loan for the rest of the season. And then that's sort of what led into, because Adam was good friends with Jack Higgins, the head of the academy at Fleetwood, and so it's like I say, it's very much about being in the right place at the right time. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, everyone that's helped me in my sort of journey so far, I can't thank Darren Kelly, I can't thank TY enough, and everyone at Hyde. Obviously I wouldn't be there without them. But the one thing I'd always say is, like, the question I've been asked before is, like, how do you get scouted? How do you get into football? Genuinely for me, obviously sometimes you earn your own luck, but a lot of it for me was being in the right time, being in the right place at the right time, but also making sure when I was in that place I was ready to be there. That's one thing I was big on.
That's so important.
But yeah, and then the Farsley one was just, again, so good for me, because I'd gone into a whole new changing room, knew no one, and again, by playing well, the lads seemed to take to me, and I was in a car school with him 2 weeks, and then obviously I spoke to everyone there, and then just, again, I didn't even see it as like a big stepping stone at the time, but looking back it probably was massive. And ended up just going to Fleetwood from there, and with no fear really.
So the move from Hyde to, was it Farsley to Fleetwood or Hyde to Fleetwood?
It was Hyde. I was still on loan at Farsley at the time, so Hyde were the ones that Fleetwood dealt with. But throughout all that, like, I was still going on trials everywhere. I remember TUI used to help me out with trials and stuff. I went on trials to Harrogate and trial to Halifax at the time. That was a big one for me when Halifax said, like, because to be fair, each team had sort of said they wanted to sign me, but then they were very aware that they had to pay a fee because I was on contract at Hyde. So whenever it got to, it was like, oh yeah, we like you, we like the look of you. Whenever it got to the fee side of things, it was always it brought it down. And then Altrincham at one point were interested, but then the weirdest one was Stockport. Obviously, I didn't go on trial there. It was Jim Gannon in charge at the time. They said to me, oh, you know, I think we're going to take you. And we'd agreed actual personal terms. It was the first time I'd ever agreed a contract. I thought, oh, professional contract, absolutely buzzing. And, you know, they're in League One now. They were on, at that point in time, they were just getting on the train to make their way back up. And he was in charge, and half of the day, like, I thought, oh, it's pretty much all done. Spoke to the director of football, who's still there now, and at the time, who my agent was, he rang me and he said, oh, they said they want to bring you in first to have a look at you. And I said, but they've bid money, haven't they? And I was so confused. I was like, they've bid money and agreed personal terms, and then so that one was a big kick in the teeth. And that was where I half realised sort of what I was worth in a way, because before I'd just jumped at a chance to go somewhere. I'd been like, Sam, we'll go. But then I thought, you know what, I think I've proved enough. They've been watching me for a certain amount of time. They bid this amount of money for me. And then they said, we still need to see you in this training session. So I said to my agent at the time and to you, I said that I'm not going to go. And then it ended up working out better for me because eventually, that's when the time was right. Fleetwood came in, and that was when the deal got agreed between Fleetwood and Hyde. I'd been on trial at Fleetwood they initially brought me in for 6 weeks, but I ended up being there for about 3 or 4 months before. So that was good, because before I'd even signed my contract, I knew everyone so well, and I felt like I was a part of the club, and going into the next summer, which set me up really nicely.
I remember when you first signed with Fleetwood, that wasn't a first team move though, was it? It was 23s, I swear.
Yeah, 23s, but I just seen it as I'm one step closer to where I need to be. So
you know, the facilities at Fleetwood, they're a joke, because I remember raiding their
Have you
fridge.
been?
Yeah, I raided their fridge with all them. Obviously, they still did like the Yakults and that.
Yeah.
Raided that. Eat those.
The facilities are a joke. So
mate.
good.
You play there. You got to nip in the fridge. No one looking. One Yakult down you. Do you get what I'm saying? Nah, it's class though. Fleetwood was class.
Yeah, the facilities were superb, and that was the biggest thing as well. Like, I went there on trial, and it was Simon Grayson in charge at the time. But that's what I mean. Even on trial, I'd gone in on trial. I was training with the 21s, and there was a few of us in the 21s at the time. There's only like 5 or 6 of them, because they were just sort of starting the 21s up properly. So I went at a really good time in terms of the transition to first team, because if you were decent enough, you were going to train with League One players. And then I remember being on trial, and Stephen Crane, his real name, he pulled me one day and he's like, you and so are going with the first team today. And I thought, what about the other 4 or 5 lads? And not me thinking I was better than them or anything like that. It was more like, like they should be with us as well, because like they're good enough as well. And then I sort of went, and since that day I didn't really go. I didn't train. I trained with the 21s again at the start of the next season, but only for because like the 21s always come in a couple of days earlier in pre-season. So I trained with them for the first 2 days, and I was with the first team, and literally just didn't look back. It was just a roller coaster that I'm still on, and want to keep riding it for as long as possible. Really,
that was your first taste of like professional full-time football. So.
Yeah, and I remember being so nervous for it as well. Like when I was on trial there. But then I settled in there so quickly, because the lads who I still speak to now, like I lived with 2 of them that were there. I settled in really fast, and then literally ended up training with them towards the end of the season, signed my contract, and I was just so happy to sign a contract. But then that summer, I remember really thinking, because in previous seasons, even with Hyde, like in between the seasons, I'd always thought, right, I'll do a bit here, do a bit there, go in the gym. That was the first one where I thought, every day I'm just going to try and do something and go back in the best possible nick I can. And then when I ended up going back in summer, it showed in terms of fitness and stuff like that. And it was early on in the season where I realised that there might be a sniff that I could get a couple of games. 5 games and 10 games was my aim at the time. And like I say, it just went so fast that season.
I remember that first season. That was mind-blowing for me.
And me still, like... I think even my family and stuff, like they couldn't believe how well that first season went. But again, at the time, you don't even think about it.
Yo, mate, like it's literally like everyone was thinking about it, because I remember times when we would finish our game at Hyde or something. Tongi's got like flash score up, and man them are trying. Did Lane score today? Do you know what I mean? Man them in the change rooms are buzzing. Do you know what I mean? So it must have been a surreal experience.
It was, and whenever I think back to that first season, it's sort of. It's like a distant dream or something, just because of the way it went. And like obviously, the first group, when I obviously go into first team environments, you can sort of tell if the group's good or if the group's it's not great, because you come across different groups all the time. But that group at Fleetwood in the first team, it was brilliant. Like everyone took to each other so well, and everyone sort of took me under their wing. And then I remember the big thing with me was getting moved into the first team changing room. That was sort of, once I'd made my debut, moving into the first team changing room was like, right, you can't relax, but you're in there now. You'll be able to create relationships, and like I say, I don't think you should ever really relax, as in your career as a footballer because it can flip on its head like that. But I was always told growing up, like, you need to make 100 professional appearances and then you can sort of say, you know, you're a footballer. And then, but like, again, you shouldn't just aim for 100 and then be like, oh, I don't
I'm done. No chance. Yeah,
just a milestone, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Literally, one milestone.
A question I've always wondered, from playing with Hyde to Fleetwood, that change there to the beginning anyway, not to Portsmouth, but just those two moves. From playing in front of no one with us, with Rochdale, to Hyde, couple hundred, and then Fleetwood to around a few thousand,
Yeah,
say?
you get to maybe 2,000, 3,000 on a good day. Like,
did you feel it, the difference in the...
The first time I felt it was we played a pre-season game against Leeds. Oh, might have been Huddersfield actually. Huddersfield, I think it was. And I remember in the pre-season of that first year, I went, Simon Grayson, my old manager, and Dunny called me in. He's like, oh, you're going to start tonight? And I was like, oh, sorry, no, there's a 21s game in the day. And obviously on the schedules you get sent. My name went in the 21 schedule. It was on the first team squad list. I thought, oh, that's cool, I'm on the bench tonight. Like, buzzing. And then I got told I was starting, and I remember like my ass just went. I was like, oh, shit. And it was literally, it was a pre-season game, but seriously, it was like, I genuinely thought, like, if I do well, and that was the first time I thought, if I do well, you know, it could be the start of something.
Something massive, isn't it?
I remember obviously being there, first time probably being in a big stand full of people.
So what is this, Leeds away?
No, Huddersfield at home. Even it was just at home, but Huddersfield had a away following with them pre-season.
Okay, yeah.
So there was fans there, and started the game, played really well, and then the next game, obviously at the time being a youngster, I was sort of like, oh, like I might play again because I played well, but it's pre-season. Like, he switches the team, nothing. And then we played Leeds, that came to us again, and Leeds were the one where I thought, oh, like, this is actually like when I used to go watch games. Like, I was like, oh, like there's actually fans here that's full on. Like,
I'm not saying you play. Yeah.
That's not me saying, oh, fans at Hyde and stuff don't care. Like, fans at Hyde and stuff they probably care
just as much.
As much, yeah. But they, you can't hear them as such. Like, when I was at Hyde, I never really heard many people in the crowd. But then obviously, playing in them two games, I'm glad I did it in pre-season, because if I'd have done it in the season, I might have been a bit like taken back. But yeah, that's the first time, really. But now it's. Like, I'm sure you'll know yourselves. You don't really take notice once you play him.
Oh, yeah. And do you know what? To be fair, tell a lie, you know what I have? Because one time, obviously, last season with Warrington, we played Hyde. We beat him 1-0. What's it called? A couple of the fans, obviously, because I used to play there, obviously fond of me, and they know I'm a good lad and that. Saying that the pod's shit and that, shouting that to me, and I'm on the field. I thought,
that's not anything.
Yo, I swear, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take off my Tiempos or whatever boots I got, and I'm gonna lamp him, bro. Like, how are they trying to bullet me on the pitch? I thought, nah, I ain't having that. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, but them after in like the place where you go get food and you get a drink and that. Yeah, they were all sounding that. They're just having a laugh with me and that.
That's what it is most of the time. You just like want to like when I think the fans giving me stick. I think what I was when I was like 12, 13, going to watch Halifax every week.
Yeah,
I'd be shouting it from the top of the stand, thinking their striker could hear me. You know what I mean? So sometimes I remind myself of that. But that's
this is what I mean, because like I've got selective hearing because my ears are so small, so I can just hear certain man. So when I'm hearing that, I thought, you're ridiculous, because I know it's you right there. But I'll wait for you until the game's finished. That's why, like when I was playing with Jordan at Hyde, like when he's giving me information, it's crystal clear. I know what I'm doing, and I know how he wants me to play. Because more time, we wouldn't even have to say too much, because we play with one another so much.
Is that when you were playing left back?
Left back, yeah. Now I can just play. Like he said, he's played everywhere within the back five. I could play right back easy. But the thing with me is that I'm kind of tapped. Like I'd play right back, but I play with my left foot at right back, and then when I play left back, I'd play with my right foot at left back. Do you know what I mean? So I take the ball back foot. Let's say defender will come. I'd ball roll inside. I know a couple people have been watching me play and they'll try to stop that one, but I'd ball roll inside and then disguise it and just do a channel ball straight. Normally works, peach, or like I'd step in to aim for the line. and then just like a driven one into like the 10 and that. So then he can do whatever the heck he needs to do, because I'm not one of them techie man unless I'm past the halfway line. Then I'll show you something. But yeah, man, fans try to get onto me and that, and you know I'm a player in that, so it's one of them.
Yeah, it's mad. And like I say, I never really can hear much. It's more just play football. Like that's even at Hyde. The only time I've ever heard someone at Hyde was
Tongy.
Tongy on the pitch, yeah. But like I say, everyone was sound. Like I'd never really had any fans at Hyde give me stick, apart from again, I think I was away at it might have been Whitby, or I think it was Whitby actually. We were away. Was it? What was that for? Was it Whitby when you done your knee?
Yeah,
it was that one. I remember. And someone said to me, "Oh, you got school in the morning." I remember thinking, that's actually pretty funny. Like, so I couldn't even say anything. So like, I just looked and I was like, "Yeah, probably do." But that's the only time ever I've sort of like clocked it, and it might have been because the ball's going out for a throw in. Something like that. Obviously, it's a little bit different now.
Yeah,
if you score,
it's
like what you dreamed of playing FIFA as a kid.
Yeah.
That's the only time really I've ever heard.
So obviously getting into now, you said it's different now. The move from Fleetwood to Portsmouth, how did that come about? Because that was obviously January last year, deadline day. How did that come about? Was that something that was in the works, or?
Well, I'd had the first year at Fleetwood, dream season, and then we had a new manager going into the next season because we'd survived on 40 points in my first season. So we had like, it was a tough year because you had a lot to learn in terms of losing games football. But we ended up surviving. Obviously, for myself, it was personally a really good year. And then the interim manager at the time, Carenzo, they said to him, "Oh, I think we're going to go a different direction." And Scott Brown came down from Celtic, and he came in and he had his own players to bring in, and he had his own ideas.
Scott Brown, the
Celtic legend.
Yeah. Did he bring? He's the one that brought Dolan in, then.
Yeah. Well, it was Joe Riley, the head of recruitment, that brought Cal in.
Yeah.
I think primarily, but obviously Scott Brown had to have a look at him, and he's still there now. He's doing well, to be fair. So
I'd have loved to play with those two in front of me. Work or someone that can fucking cut him with the left. Joke. Go on.
So Scott Brown came in, and in fairness, like, unreal coach in terms of like tactics and stuff like that, and you could see why he played at the top level. And then it was just more I saw myself in a different direction, really. I thought, I might need to leave here, because if I'm honest, I thought I might have had a sniff of leaving in the summer, without sounding big-headed or anything. I just thought after the season I've had, maybe,
I remembered all that malarkey.
Something could have come, and it didn't. And I think, again, subconsciously probably got into my head a little bit, because I didn't move, and maybe I thought, all right, I'm ready to move. I went back, and them 3 or 4 months there probably the biggest for me in terms of like learning stuff and learning the way football works when it's not going so well.
Yeah, because that might have mentally just shooken you a little bit.
Yeah, it probably did.
Yeah, because obviously you're preparing for something, and obviously you're adjusting yourself right for whatever's going to come your way, and when that doesn't happen, it's like, what now? Do you know what I mean?
And like I say, you're probably right. It probably did shake me a little bit, and I probably wasn't in the right headspace going into them first 4 months of that season anyway. And then things went the way they did that year, and I'd said to the manager in, I think it was November, end of November, start of December time, I sort of said, if there's a chance to leave in January, I'd probably like to take it if possible. Obviously, the conversation is different when you're in the room and stuff like that, but obviously that's for me and him to know. And he was like, okay, yeah, well, if that's what you're saying, if that's what you're thinking, and if you come back to us with offers from other clubs, then you're free to leave, sort of thing. So I thought, this was the first time since Farsi really where I'd had a bit of a hiccup again. I was like, right, I'll keep training well. And I remember even like when I was going through that, I always remember thinking I still need to train well, because I was still under contract then no matter what. And football changes so fast. And I remember I was out of the squads and I wasn't playing still, and then a week before, middle of January came up and nothing had sort of come up. And I was thinking, I might have to stick it out, and I might have to try and really fight for my place back and earn the gaffer's trust back. And then this last week of Jan came, and the gaffer pulls me on the Friday and says, "Look, I know we've had a couple of hiccups and whatnot, but you know you've been training well, and I'm going to play you on Saturday against Sheff Wednesday away in the FA Cup." And I remember playing Sheff Wednesday, and I done well. We played them away. We drew 1-1. Got a replay. Into like getting to like the 5th round or something like that, and so I was buzzing. I thought, oh, brilliant! Like, you know, I've sort of earned his trust back and stuff, and then obviously it was going to take a bit more time, and then I was in the barbershop on the day off we had after that, and I got a text off one of the lads I knew at Farsley called Joe Byram. I got a text off him, and he was like, "Oh, just out of the blue, what do you think of Portsmouth?" And I was like, "Oh, like, never been," sort of thing. Like,
Never been.
Yeah, I was like, never been. I thought, oh, why are you down there? Because I used to talk to Joel about like NFL and stuff like that when he was at Farsley.
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh, never been, mate. Why is there some sort of game down there or something? He said, oh, my best mate's just got in as the gaffer, and I've heard you want to move. So I was thinking, I was like, oh, is he having me off here a bit? Like one of my mates saying it. Anyway, I said to him, I said, look, if there's a possibility there, I'd absolutely love to have a look at the opportunity of doing it anyway. And then I was in a barbershop. My phone was blowing up from my agent then as well after the conversation had been had. And I remember after going to the barbers, I went into the gym, and it's probably the least of ever work I've ever done in the gym. I was on the treadmill, and I was off the treadmill because I was on my phone, and I was on the treadmill again. And then I was getting told all these things. It's going to happen, it's not going to happen. And that was the day before deadline day. And I remember being at home that day, and I was the moodiest fella ever. Like, I did not speak to my mum and dad, didn't speak to anyone, just because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't even want to tell my mum and dad what was happening, just in case it didn't go through. I didn't want their hearts to sort of go as well. Because it's what I wanted. I think I did want to do it at the time. I wanted to go down and move away. And excuse me. And then I remember it got to about 10 at night, and I told my dad at this point, because he was like, "What's up with you?" He knew straight away. Told my dad, and I was having dinner, and I get a call saying, "Oh yeah, it's done. Like, you need to go to Fleetwood now and get your boots in the morning, and you're going down there." And literally, a split second, I was gone. Like, it was
No way.
Literally, it was carnage, because you dream of sort of getting a move and stuff like that, and you just don't realise how quick it happens. And then I drove back that evening, told the boys that I was living with at the time, because we were really close, told them, and that's when it sunk in. I remember I couldn't sleep that night. It was like you're a kid and you're going on a school trip the next day, you lay your clothes out and stuff, you're laying in bed. And I couldn't sleep, and then I went in the morning to get my boots and stuff, and said bye to the lads. And then I seen the gaffer, and the gaffer's like, "Oh, you need to come to my office." I was like, I had my best jeans on, everything. I'm getting pictures here. I'm on my way down. I was like, "Oh, like I'm meant to be going down to Portsmouth." He was like, "Oh, all right." And like, I was like, "Oh, do you not know?" And he was like, "Oh, I was just going to speak to you about the weekend." And then the head of director of football, what's his name? He's at Stoke now. John Walters. Right. John Walters. He came down. He's like, "Oh yeah, Scott, he's going." And then Will Walt, the guy who did everything else in terms of like money and stuff like that, he said, "Oh yeah, he's going." And then so he said, "All right, get your boots, then go up to my office." So I got my boots, went up to his office, and then discussions were being had everywhere, here and everywhere. And then I remember being sat in there thinking, "Oh no, I hope they're not going to pull the plug on this, because like I've got a 5-hour journey to go. Yeah, I need to get down there and get it signed."
Were you driving down?
They sent a car up, to be fair.
Mad.
So it was that, and again stuff like that.
Mad.
Mental.
What, Vito and that?
No, it was like a bit. Like
Yo, Vito, black hat, serious baller.
But even stuff like that, like sending a car up, I thought, oh, they must really want to sign me, you know.
Yeah, mate.
I spoke to the gaffer, who's still the gaffer at Portsmouth now, and had a really good chat with him. And it was one of them things again where it felt like I was going to play and enjoy footy again. And then went down. Obviously, everything got sorted out, and it was just like, I remember being sat in the hotel that night, and it, like, I didn't tell any of my friends, and it was all over like social media. I didn't even tell you that on social media. And then I sat there and I was like, I realised I'm 5 hours away from home here, like, I'm going to have to enjoy it. But as I say, a dream come true, like, because I've always thought, even playing against them before, imagine playing somewhere like this every week.
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
that. Like, it
I remember
seems so
when
far.
you played there, Fleetwood against Portsmouth, you scored an absolute rocket in the stanches.
Probably the best goal I've ever scored, and I think that's why I hold Fratton so close to my heart, because I've had stuff like that happen. And obviously, after this year, it'll always be sort of close to
and
my
even
heart.
after that game, I remember asking you what's it like playing, and you went, it's the best stage in life. It's
seriously, like,
massive, like it's huge.
At the time, it was just a dream come true, and obviously I'd done all the even doing like the obligatory media stuff and like the interviews. You don't sort of realise you're doing it at the time, and you see it all come out, and you think, flipping it, like, this is what I used to see growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, going back to the Fleetwood thing, can't thank them enough, because they took me out of non-league, trusted me enough to play me, and give me the platform to be able to sort of begin my professional journey anyway. But yeah, since going down to Portsmouth, it's just been, like I say, a dream come true,
mad,
really.
you know.
Serious, like,
Media training now, so we don't use profanity in that long. My man's just ready for it. If you ever need a show for him, man, you know who to call. Get Thierry to get me, and I'll take you anywhere. And even if you just want to play one game with me, I'd happily do that. You know what I mean?
unreal.
All right. So obviously the move from Fleetwood to Portsmouth. Fleetwood, you were number 32. Your first number was number 32, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously, then next season you got the 11 shirt. Gone to Pompey, number 29 for that half of a season, and this season now that's just finished. Obviously, after the last season you had last season with Portsmouth, you could have picked any number, including the number that you had, number 29. Why did you go back to number 32?
Just good home. It felt like a good home, and I felt at home. And it sounds so weird to say, but I felt like it was sort of my number after that. And I actually wanted to keep it the second year at Fleetwood. But they were signing someone called Josh Earl, who I still speak to now. He's a great guy. And the kitman said, "Oh, you can have the number 11, like, if you want it, but we need the 32 because we're signing Josh and he wants 32." So I was like, "Oh, well, if I can't have a 32, then I'll have the 11."
Bad, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'd never go back to it, like,
yeah.
never now, just because of the way that first 4 or 5 months went there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but little things like that, like, I don't think I'll ever go to a club and not get 32 now. And I asked for 32 when I went down last Jan. I asked for it, but it was already registered for someone that had played like a Papa John's game for them. And so they were like, "Oh, you can't have it." So I said, "What's the nearest one to it?" And it was 29. And obviously 29 ended up being, like, if anybody said to me now that you can't have 32 because of some reason, 29 is probably the one I'd go to again, just because I had it there, and I had a decent end to my season last year anyway.
That's class.
Yeah. Do you have anything like that yourselves? Do you?
Me and numbers. I know yours is 37.
Yeah.
Mine's just like my pro club's number. I like 15.
Yeah, 15.
15 on pro clubs.
I don't know, because you know what it stems from? It's from like watching Daniel Sturridge, and like I like players with like character, like Akin Fenwa, you Sturridge, Michael Richards, all these people that have got like characters to him. They're not just playing. So when I'm seeing him dance and that and do daft shit at celebrations and stuff like that, like, it really resonates with myself. Do you know what I mean? So I thought 15, my number. That, do you know what I mean? So I had it when I went pro at Oldham. Didn't get to use it because obviously the owners at the time were just taking the piss out of the club. So I was mad, but I'd always go for 15. 3 is cool. Or 27, I like 27.
3 was my first one with Northern Ireland, like.
3?
Yeah, but that was because I was playing in a different position. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'd go back to 3, like.
Leave 3 to me, man.
Like, I don't have, like, in terms of like numbers of superstitions or anything, that, like, my missus would tell you different. She thinks I'm really superstitious, but
I'd say you are as well.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that people say to me that I am, but for me,
it's in denial.
Yeah, I think it is. A little bit. I don't like to say it. Maybe I am, but
yeah,
my missus would be saying you are definitely. You are,
Yeah,
but,
you definitely are.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So.
Obviously, coming off the season you've just had now, 42 League One appearances, 12 goals and 7 assists. Did you feel pressure from, I'd say, the smaller games to the game towards the end of the season where it was clinching the title against like Bolton and Derby? Like, did you feel the pressure in them games compared to?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say it's more like when you're going through a season like I had last year. It was very similar to my first one at Fleetwood. It sort of just snowballs into this season that's you're buzzing with, but you don't tend to sit back and look at it until after it's done, because if you do, then you might end up overthinking things and being like, oh, I need to reach this number, I need to do this. And in terms of pressure, maybe obviously at the end when we're getting close to the last 10 and the running, it's very much different from a Cheltenham at the start of the year, because you're not imagining things and you're sort of just wanting to get 3 points and keep ticking them off. But the only one this season where I thought, there's pressure there was Bolton away. Obviously, we could have won the title there. Sorry, we could have got promoted there. Obviously, Bolton were going for it as well, and they brought packed out stadium. We filled our away, and that was the only one where I thought, walking onto the pitch, I thought, oh, it's a big game, this. But in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have even been like that, because we had a few games to do it. Obviously, you want to do it as early as you can. Yeah. But that's it. In terms of like pressure, not really. Every game's as big as each other, but there will be some sort of subconscious is always gonna be more pressure in them games, because you can win the league. But then in them games, like at the start, you just wanted to tick them off and get to the end of the season.
Question on that: do you know like teams within that league? So, say for example, you're playing like a team that are towards the bottom and they've not really got a lot to play for. Do you find those teams harder to play against, or the teams in and around yourself?
That's a good one. I think the teams in and around ourselves we always played better against this year.
And why do you think that is?
Maybe because the way they play suited. I think for us it was the way they play suited our press a little bit more.
Yeah.
If teams go longer, we couldn't really press the way that we'd worked on this year. But again, the teams at the bottom, they're tough tests as well. Like
you, man, you can't sleep. You can't sleep on no one.
It's so tough in that league. Like the league was so on its head this year, where we didn't. So Cheltenham got relegated. We took 1 point off them all year, whereas Peterborough were in the playoffs, and we beat them at home and away, and then same as. Again, 1 point off Cheltenham. I'm just referencing Cheltenham because that's always the one I think of, because we lost them and drew. And then Bolton we took 4 points off, which is, the league is so hard to predict, and the games at the bottom when you're playing against them younger teams, not the younger teams, the teams that aren't challenging as much top end, they're just as dangerous because they don't want to go down. Because going down is probably, it's a massive thing to avoid. So, like I say, but being in one of them at Fleetwood that first year, I sort of knew that every game you've got to sort of be treated as if you're playing Man U in the FA Cup away, and that's sort of the way I've been since. Even them ones on a Wednesday, if we lost on that Wednesdays, I was fuming on a Thursday at EDS. It was, but it's probably spanned from that. And I think again, playing men's football from 17 obviously helps that. I think definitely. I don't know about yourself, but
for me, in relation to like the games that teams in and around you and the teams that are towards the bottom, like when I'm playing, I feel like the teams towards the bottom, because they've got nothing to play for, they're just fearless. So they're coming into the game annoying you, because say for example, say if your team's a team that likes to play, they'll just sit back and try to just get you on the counter when all these are pressed up. Whereas if you play teams in and around you that like to play football, they're also exposed due to their own play style. So then the way your team would set up, you would manipulate what they would be doing. Vice versa, innit? Because these are playing for something. So you need to know about your position.
I agree. That's probably the best way you could put it. Definitely, I think I never really, especially in League One and even next year, like it's a league I've never played in before, but every team's just going to be as good as each other. I think it's going to be carnage, like, but it's definitely different. So like going back to T's question, the pressure of it is it can be different, but again, you don't really tend to think about it when you're playing at the time.
I don't know if what are you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask. I think you're going to ask a question following that topic.
Go on, you go.
Right, I was going to say, like, in regards to Fleetwood and Pompeii, like, what's like the difference in training, or like what differences have you noticed?
Difference in training is more like I wouldn't like the standards high anywhere in
Yeah.
the league, and like even in professional football, it's so high. Like, but the demands, especially this year with the group we had for the going up, the demands were so high. Like fines were strict. Like you couldn't be late. You couldn't do anything. I'm not saying you could be late at Fleetwood, but everything was heightened, especially because of what we were challenging for this year. And I'm not saying at Fleetwood we wouldn't want to challenge for that, but it's very different in the sense that you fully got a chance of going up. And if the standard of training wasn't great, we'd say something this year at Portsmouth. But if it wasn't going so well at Fleetwood, it might just be like, oh, lads, come on, do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
But again, they're very similar in terms of that. But I think for me, the sessions at Fleetwood, at Portsmouth, they're a lot more. The tactics we went into and stuff. There's a reason why we had 2 really good unbeaten streaks this year. And
You can tell your manager's a tactician.
yeah, he's
You can tell by the way he's
for me. He's been brilliant. He's been since moving down there. He's filled me with confidence, and he's made me understand the game a little bit better. I was listening before, and there's so much knowledge there. And I was thinking, I don't even think about that. I just think about being direct and making sure I'm doing my work. And that's sort of the way people are sometimes. And like some people really think about deeply into it. Like our skipper at the minute, Marlon, unbelievable guy. And he knows so much about the game, whereas at the minute I'm at the age where like I do think about things in that context, but
You're more chilled, innit?
I'm more. I'd just be able like I just want to go play football.
Yeah.
When I'm doing that, I feel like I play better. If I'm honest, like.
I don't know if you know this. Probably might. Portsmouth actually went on a 17-game unbeaten run to win the title.
Yeah, I was aware of it.
Was
because
So when you're going on them runs, when you get to like 9, 10, 11, is it just carry on? Is it just these all feel it in the change room, in the sessions before the game, in the changing rooms?
That must be mad, like the build up to like continuously win games.
Because you just know you're on this run and the title is there for you in the taking. Because obviously no one was above you at the time. It's more like if we win, we will win the title. Does that energy just burst around the whole club?
Yeah, like not even just players, like staff as well, and like the chefs. When you go in on a Monday morning, they, all right, lads, like whatever. But it's I was aware of the 17 one only because I remember when it started against Port Vale away, because we'd been on a bit of a shit run up until that point. And it started at Port Vale. I remember going into the change room after. I remember saying out loud like another run starts here, because we'd had one at the start of the year that spanned on from last year. That was like 20 odd, unbeaten, not all wins. But obviously the one at the minute, Leverkusen got beat last night.
Yeah.
And you can tell that their team would have been so close because of it. Like obviously our group was brilliant this year, but it always helps winning. Like no matter what, and that's why the first year group at Fleetwood was so good, because we weren't winning every week, but the group was still really close. But this year, therefore the 17 one at the end, we were just itching to win the league. Like we just wanted to do it so bad, and there was a big factor in terms of like if we won the league, we were probably going to go to Vegas, and that was a massive driving factor. And some people say it might not help, but for us, like the thought of going to Vegas was brilliant. And
Some change room Vegas, bro.
Yeah,
Vegas. F1's there now.
We're seeing the track and stuff. It was
mental, bro.
So good. And like even like saying that now, and in this same conversation we've had, talking about like going to sixth form. I was going to do sixth form, and then I've ended up just going like winning the league. It's
just done a free.
You just don't think about it sometimes. It's nice to sort of
to look back and reflect on. Yeah. Obviously, I got one last question for you. Obviously, I've got loads more, but we've got to wrap up soon.
No worries.
So this is now going into your first championship season as a championship season in general.
Mad thing.
That's an accomplishment in itself. Well done to you, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's crazy to say out loud. How do you mentally prepare yourself for what's coming in August, September?
In the future?
Well, in pre-season, it's going to be completely different.
So this means people can use you on FIFA when they what's that thing that they do, man? That you can put yourself in like a development thing.
Evolution.
Doing Evo with Paddy Lane. Because I haven't played FIFA in a minute, I haven't played FIFA in a minute. Little 85 Evo Paddy Lane.
It's like, honestly, don't it like FIFA as well? That was another big one. Growing up, I always thought, I'd love to like see myself on FIFA.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I did. I remember being at Fleetwood. First year I had a silver card. I was so buzzing.
First year silver card?
First year, yeah.
Luckier than some. I got a bronze one. Mate.
I was so bad.
This was mad. Yeah.
Out of the shoulder set.
Strength. They let me down, man. A couple keepers were even stronger than me, but I don't even want to talk about that. Go on. Silver.
Literally, it was like the first thing I did was buy myself on it, and then after that, I didn't even go on it. That's literally, I thought when I was younger, growing up, you think, oh, you play on it all the time, but literally didn't. But sorry, what was the question? I'm talking about FIFA.
How do you prepare yourself for this new season?
Yeah. So obviously, it's sort of similar. I don't really want to change what I've been doing because it's worked up to now. Yeah. Like the first we finished the season a few weeks back. I went to Vegas the first week, and sort of the first 2-3 weeks switch off. Like the last week I was in Greece last week, and I'd only started doing stuff in the gym properly then. And I was away with my missus, and I'd say like I'm going to the gym. And to be fair, she came with me once or twice, so it was nice. But yeah, it was. She was sort of saying, "Come on, you get out of bed." I was like, "Yeah, sweet." But then obviously, so I got back last night, and then today before coming here, done a run, and that's sort of the start of it now. Like it'll build up gradually, but in terms of like a lot of things for myself, I find if I switch off from it all the better.
Yeah.
And when I get to pre-season, then I can think about it, because I feel for me I've got like 9.5, 10 months to think about it. The summer I want to enjoy time with family. I want to be able to relax and make sure that I'm ready for when I do go back down there, you know, that like I'm thinking about football. And like I say, I don't watch it that much. I don't watch football a lot, probably as much as I should, because when I get back from training I like to switch off.
You're playing it though at the same time, so there's only so much you can do.
That's
really,
it. So but in terms of pre-season going into the champ, like obviously I'm buzzing to get in the champ. Like someone has said to me 5 years ago, you'd be playing a championship, like you're chomping at the bit to go and play. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing the stand of it, like seeing if I've got, I want to back myself and feel like I can play in that league, but I need to test myself in it first. And like listen before, it's always better to test yourself against the best players. So
I've got one more question before we wrap it up. So for players, coming up, what advice would you give to them? Because I feel like there's loads of people in this situation that are coming up in non-league.
Coming up in non-league?
Yeah, in non-league from non-league football. Yeah. Because I feel like that's more or less a pool of players where people are tending to go for now. Like I'm seeing a lot more people getting an opportunity to play in the league from there. From your experience, what would you tell like younger players like yourself? Honestly,
for me, like myself, just whatever you do, just enjoy it. Whatever it is you do, you've obviously got to have the drive and the work rate when you're on your own. And if you play in non-league and you're in part-time, you need to go to the gym and stuff. You need to do all the extra stuff that you should be doing, but you need to be enjoying it, because you're gonna get it's not even in football, like any job. You'll get the best out of yourself if you enjoy it. And if you enjoy something, then you can. If you really want it that much, I'd probably say you can take yourself to different heights with it, but you have to enjoy it first, and that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, man, you've heard it here first. Paddy Lane telling you,
from
enjoy it, just smile, Ronaldinho type shit. You know what I'm saying?
You got to. It's a short career, but
yeah,
like I say, a pleasure having me on, lads.
I really appreciate it.
I've actually loved it, because I know you talk to T more or less a lot of the time, but it's glad to give myself an insight of like more of an insight of like what you do in your spare time and like stuff like how you see football yourself. I know we've got to wrap it up, but I'd like to think I'm chilled out with it, because I know when you're in it, it moves so fast, and sometimes like you just want to slow down and realise where you are. Like, but yeah, like I say, then just enjoy it, man. Big up the Sunday League mates that play as well.
Halifax Irish. I still speak to them all now, to be fair. So it's unbelievable. Like
humble guy.
Humble guy, man. I'm telling you.
Very good guy. Thank you for coming on.
Nah, pleasure. Honestly, the studio's unbelievable. It's unreal. So keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, you know full well. You always send me them, and I follow it on TikTok and everything. So just keep doing. What you're doing.
Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that. Keep in touch with Paddy. Support his thing.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully you do a Mazzoline like he did the previous season.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's Cactus, isn't it?
Nice
We'll
one,
see you
real.
soon. That's Cactus.
Yeah, man. Peace.
Nice one, lads.
No, that was sick. No, honestly.
Top man.
I'll tell you what I